Hello everyone and welcome to the Constructive Criticism Network. This network is here to help you improve at Magic the Gathering at every level. From Pauper Leagues to Top 1000 Mythic, we've got you covered. If you want to hear the entire network, head on over to our sponsor at PureMTGO.com, where you can hear each and every show, each and every week, and check out their sponsor, MTGO Traders, and tell them that the CCMTG Network sent you. Now sit back, enjoy the show. From YouTube, podcasts, and more, here's this week's episode from ConstructiveCriticism.com. I'm your host, Spencer, and today we're talking about a very important subject. Throughout the country and the world, we've seen protests and major changes happening around the world because of a movement, and that movement is Black Lives Matter. And in the Magic community, we've seen an uptick in people really wanting to understand, and also some bad things come out, and we've seen, the bad side of things happening. In my time doing Magic content, which is, I think, 7 years now, since starting Constructive Criticism almost, I've had two pretty amazing people support me. These are two of my actual biggest supporters. And when I was thinking about ways that I could give back to the Magic community and the people impacted by this, I thought of these two people, and I wanted to invite them on the show. So I want to welcome Jaren.
Yo.
And pork chop hater Adrian. Tell me about that, Adrian.
Wow, that's aggressive for a honored guest. But
yeah, very, very honored, very bad opinions apparently on pork chops. That's all I'm saying, man.
Hot takes. Here we go.
No, but for real, when I invited you guys on the show, I don't think that I even knew this was my last potential Magic the Gathering podcast. But I'm.
I didn't think it was going to be either.
Well, I'm really grateful for you two. You two have legitimately been two of the biggest supporters of constructive criticism, and the show and the network and everything. Just it just wouldn't be in existence in any way without people like you. And I just, as I have an opportunity, I'm crying now, by the way, because there's no video, so you can't see it. Haha. But I really appreciate you guys, and I'm really excited to get to talk about this with you today.
I'm very excited as well.
Yeah, I appreciate you having this on, for real.
Dude, Adrian, are you tearing up too?
Yeah.
I like it. At least I'm not alone. I appreciate it. Let's talk about this. So before we get into the questions, because we got some questions from listeners and stuff. These are my Mythic guests. So I said when I restarted the show that one of the things that I wanted to do was use this show as a platform to both help people get Mythic and also just elevate people that I think need to be heard. And so this is actually, some of my first Mythic guests that, even though I know Jaren, I believe you're back-to-back Mythic, and Adrian, I see you crushing it on the draft boards. So you're both, competitive Magic players that, are very capable of being on this show just in the Mythic ranks. And Jaren, I had planned on inviting you on the show before I decided to leave. You're also, two Black Magic players that I wanted to talk to you about kind of what you're going through. But before we do that, can you guys kind of tell me what the Black Lives Matter means to you guys?
It's everything. It's my life, to be honest.
Yeah, I take that sentiment. It's like, it's everything. It's my life. It's this current age of actually putting light on our life and our troubles and our history, even though we've been experiencing our whole lives, and now people are finally, like, I guess, actually seeing it.
Yeah, I don't know how many people, I'm going to cry on this show so many times. I sent a text to my family about just some of the stuff that I've experienced since marrying my wife. And, one of the hardest things I think for so many people right now is just this feeling of being uncomfortable and not knowing what to do. And the thing is it's like, I think that the thing that this podcast will show today, as it will be uncomfortable, is that, Adrian and Jaren, they've had to deal with a lot of things that are uncomfortable their entire lives for something that's out of their control. And right now it's our job to listen to them and say, okay, well, how can we make you feel less uncomfortable? And how can, we bear some of that burden of this really terrible history, and also in a lot of ways a really crappy present. And so as everybody listens today, I hope that we can come together in understanding that in order to help and be an ally, it's our job to listen right now and to be uncomfortable, because we should be uncomfortable. Things aren't where they could be, where they should be. And that's why I invited you guys on today. So, now that that's, we've moved on to that, let's talk about breaking into competitive scenes locally. I've actually talked to both of you about this. I had the opportunity to do some coaching with both of you from constructive criticism. I've gotten to hear both of some of your Magic stories, but we'll start with you, Adrian. How did you kind of, decide to start playing competitive Magic?
I decided to start playing competitive Magic when I started playing in Kanzatarkir Standard. I started playing locally with some really cheap mono red deck. And then...
Didn't we all, man? Didn't we all?
Yeah, we all did.
Yeah.
And so I started playing with mono red, and then I started ingratiating myself into the community. And then as I became more friends with the people who were playing competitively, I just naturally slipped into the competitive space, because at that time most of the area was pretty competitive, like PPTQ, grinder-ish type stuff. So the transaction was pretty seamless, besides actually spending the money to get a deck in the first place. But
so something I want to ask both of you in this question. I live in Utah, just to be clear. We have, I don't know, maybe 2 black Magic players in the entire state, in a competitive level. Adrian, you're from Florida, right?
North Florida, yeah.
Yeah, and Jaren, you're from Michigan?
Yep.
How many black Magic players are in each of your areas? Locally? When you when you're saying you break into the scene, Adrian, how many people look like you?
Locally, 4.
That seems low for Florida. I guess northern Florida might be a little different.
Do you mean our town, or the local grinder?
Yeah, the local grinder scene. You go to a PPTQ. How many black people are there?
For me, less than 5.
3. 3 to 5.
Yeah, both of you less than 5.
And so,
Around about that.
If I go further south, it's a little bit more, but not many more.
So, but it was welcoming and kind of seamless for you. You felt, Adrian?
For my local group, it was, but it was pretty seamless, I guess, with the other grinders. But we didn't. We kind of stayed to ourselves, and then as we traveled more, became more friendly. But still, there's a lot of pretty people trying too hard because they see that you're black, so they try to do the whole yo thing, and try to they're uncomfortable because you're there, but they don't know how to talk to you, kind of thing.
Sure. That's I haven't experienced that myself. Can I ask this? One of the things that I'm hearing right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is something that I have experienced that I'm about to say, which is that the better you get at Magic, the more reasonable the players are. And do you think, Adrian, that had you entered the Magic community in a non-competitive setting or a less competitive setting, you would have experienced it differently? Like you talked about that camaraderie that comes with the grind. Do you think that helped you?
Like help me like join the like community and stuff, or like help deal with like.
Do you think you just dealt with things a little bit less than you might have outside of a setting where you have to really bond with that person? Like when you're on a team with somebody, you really have to. I mean, you care about their results. You care about them on an individual level. Do you think that your experience was better than it could have been because of that?
I would say so, because most of like the most of the like weird like racial kind of like interactions either happen at like the LGS or they happen at like a more far away, bigger like regionals kind of thing, where I meet like brand new people. But I say like six times out of 10 it would be like more like an LGS local experience than like a competitive experience
Okay.
on a PPT area.
Jaren, I know that you have actually talked to me about this a few months back, dealing with different stuff. But before kind of going into your experience with racism in the game, can we talk about just what it was like to get into the competitive scene for you?
So I started out at like a very small store. Um, and during that time, like they were like almost like virtually like black people that I didn't know that were playing Magic. So when I first started, I was kind of known as like like the person who like actually like taught me how to play Magic. He called me like the token black guy because I was the only person in that shop that played Magic. And I broke into the competitive scene around Theros. Yeah, it was Theros. And during that time, my my first event I think was like PTQ. I did terrible. And my second PTQ I did terrible. My third PTQ I actually like top eight at that and lost. And during that time, um, there were like a bunch of people crowded around me during the top table, and I kind of got looks because of the fact that like I was kind of like I think at the time I was like the only black guy in the room, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm just like literally just crushing people, and it felt good, but it felt uncomfortable at the same time.
So, Jaren, kind of if you could for a minute, um, I know that Adrian, you've already mentioned kind of this experience of people, I don't know, trying to be too much or trying to do too much or in your
Mhm.
presence. Jaren, what have you experienced?
I've like I've experienced like people like definitely trying to do too much. I've actually experienced people like trying to um like metagame against me, which is weird. The weirdest experience I had, there's actually two of them. Um, I've had someone literally call up to a shop during a game day and ask what I was playing, which I found that weird. Um, and then like the second one, which I found, a little bit not necessarily uncomfortable. It's just more or less like in trying to be something that they're not. Was it was a player? It was a player doing an FNM. They came up to me and asked, what I think I should play. what I think they should play. I told them, and then after that, they think they straight up asked me, so how many people do you see other than yourself playing this game? And I was like, uh, I actually didn't say anything after because I didn't know what to say. So I cut the conversation short, and then round started. And I was very happy at that time.
You know, I certainly have never been asked myself a question like that. You know, how many people, and people meaning something different than the word people.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm sorry that you would be asked a question like that. Adrian, what about you? You've kind of mentioned that first piece, right? People acting different just because you're around. I'm sure that it's especially uncomfortable when you see that shift, right? When somebody's having a conversation, you walk up and all of a sudden the conversation changes because you're there.
Yeah, and they think it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna say something that's something that he would like, or because he's black, he would enjoy this kind of conversation or this kind of way of speaking, and it's like a total shift when you just treat me like a normal person, but in their eyes, I look different than mostly everyone else in there, so they like feel like, oh wow, it's a alien in a foreign land. We have to like appease to them, make them comfortable. When really they're just like making it worse. When
right, they're it's so funny. There's a old phrase, right? The path to hell is paved with good intentions. And one of the things that I know for my family, that they really struggle with in all this is, we're trying to be good people. We're trying to do the right thing. And it's like, I understand, but there's, you'll say something. So it's really funny you mentioned this. Somebody will say something like, "Oh, I don't see color. I don't see race." And I'm like, no, you should see color because you should understand the trials we're going through.
Right.
And then there's also, but at the same time, you say that, but when I walk up, you act different. So you're also not being truthful. And it's hard. And I've seen it for my wife, and I'm really sorry that you've dealt with it, Adrian.
But I've been like kind of fortunate in the fact that, for the most part, in my like limited grinding and like minimum SEG experience, where I haven't really had any like obvious outward like demeaning like experience where I got demeaned as a player, person, human kind of thing. But that's also probably because I'm a like bigger black guy, and I don't think that would happen to me as much as someone else. I don't think.
I've had that experience happen before, like straight up demeaning.
Speaking of which, Jaren, I remember you texted me one night. I think it was a Wednesday or a Thursday. You were playing at an event. Your opponent refused to talk to you. They walked away, and when people were talking to you about it, you believed that it was because of the color of your skin. Do you remember this? Maybe it was a game day. Maybe I'm actually getting it wrong.
It was actually a game day.
Okay, you're right.
It was a game day. What happened was, like, basically, like, I was playing red black. I beat the opponent straight 2-0. They got so frustrated and salty that they just got up and walked away. Like, and I tried to say good game, shake their hand, and they didn't. And I was like, okay. And I just signed the paper and just sat there.
Yeah. I've certainly had my opponents get salty, but I've certainly never, and I'm not going to share our I actually shouldn't have shared our text on the show, so I actually apologize. But I've certainly never had a conversation with a store owner or other players about why was this person so salty towards me, and have the reason. Like, I've had those conversations, right? Why do you think this player was mad at me? What did I do wrong? What could I have done better? but I've never had the thing be something that I couldn't have done better, right? I've never had part of the conversation be, well, you're white. And that's just not something that's ever happened to me. And I think that understanding that Jaren has had a conversation where that was a consideration, that could be the reason this person was salty, is because they lost to a black guy. And it's funny because when we think about, like, we've all seen it with women in Magic, right? Where, like, these where women just experience just complete bullshit. And oh, look, I swear on my podcast, guys, the doors are open. But I don't think that we realize that that same kind of stuff, even if you're not doing it, could happen, from a race level. So
Yeah, it can, and it's terrible.
All right, you both said you got 3 to 5 black people in your local community that are playing Magic. Why don't we see more black people playing, especially grinding PTQs and stuff?
Oh, I actually have the perfect response to this. I think first, number one is perception of the game. Like in the black community, like if it's nerdy, it's kind of like a kiss of death on your social life per se. Especially like with women and things of that nature. I think two is expense, like flat out. Like Magic is expensive. Like if you want to grind, especially at a high level, you kind of need to buy cards, and cards are expensive. Three, it's never been marketed to the black community. I know like nerds in like the black community who are like really smart and play chess, poker, and everything under the sun, but they don't know about Magic.
Marketing is a really interesting one.
Yes.
Because as somebody, I'm a product manager in software, and one of the things that I did as I was learning about product management was take some marketing courses. And you see sexism and racism in marketing a lot. And, it perpetuates the same thing that it does. Because you're marketing certain products to people of certain races, you're marketing certain products to people of certain sexes. And, it's not helpful. And I think that I would agree with that, Jaren. Adrian, what about you? Why do you think that you don't see more black people playing the game at a higher level?
I think it's much of what Jaren said, that the game is marketed towards like people. It's more marketed towards people with it's a luxury hobby. So, and it's a luxury hobby that probably your parents have to like help you get into and consistently support. And also that like you said, marketing, I think from top down, like Wizards doesn't go out of their way to like market towards the like black community, or just like any kind of, or more like representation, or even it's just like mostly white. Or if you go to LGS and like someone black comes in the store and they like see all these white dudes sitting down playing the game, it really doesn't make you want to play that game. Whereas other games you see like black people playing them, it's like, oh, okay, I'll join. We'll see what they're doing.
Yeah, but you both going up to this podcast actually mentioned Yu-Gi-Oh! As and a few people on Twitter have brought up like, my favorite one was somebody talking about how, this game doesn't appeal to black people. And it's like, have you been to a Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament? Like,
exactly.
it's just not true. So talk to me about that. I mean, Jaren, you just said exactly. Like, what is so wrong with that line of thinking? Talk to me about it.
So, like, I think the way I can put this is like, I think it also recommends also like the fourth point I was gonna make, which is sports. So like sports in the black community means it's like it's a way of it means to escape in social acceptance, and magic is neither one of those. And you see like other black players playing Yu-Gi-Oh,
And
and you
so it
see
becomes more socially acceptable.
correct as opposed to like magic, you don't see that many black players at all. So then it's like not socially. So then you're thinking like you subconsciously think in your mind it's not socially accepted.
Do you have any thoughts on this, Adrian?
Um, yeah, yeah, I mostly agree from like my experiences when I played Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic in school at the same time. We had some like black Yu-Gi-Oh players, but then when everyone quit Yu-Gi-Oh to play Magic, the whole like it just became like basically a bunch of white dudes, and then like the social pariahs that Magic has is just it's just not it just really isn't that appealing to play. But I think also just like I said earlier, just like representation and like is more present in other like nerd in other like nerd culture things and
Yeah,
like Magic play.
let's talk about that because the actual next question is how are black people portrayed in this game versus others? Adrian, why don't you talk about that?
Wait, saying black people or the black characters in the game?
Well, both. That I mean, this is questions from you guys. So as I wrote the show, I wanted to capture the things that you guys felt you wanted to talk about, and maybe I misunderstood this as far as like black people portrayed in the game versus others. Do you guys feel like both black players and black characters in this game are not given, the what they're really deserved? I mean, you tell me.
Uh, Not many black heroes besides what like Teferi. Um, I guess Kaya is a hero of some sorts, but there really wasn't even much emphasis put on Teferi until like just recently. Besides his story and like Apocalypse and stuff like that, but like as far as like the spotlight, it wasn't until just recently. I think most of the heroes and the quote unquote good protagonists were like mostly white people for the most part.
Okay. What about players, Jaren?
Oh, so I feel like that as a as a black player being portrayed in a game, I feel like I have to, how can I put this? I feel like we have to climb that same mountain that other players do, except it's like 20 feet, except it's like 100 feet taller.
That doesn't
Like,
sound fun. Why does it feel that
because
way?
I also feel like the pressure is on us a bit more, especially because like I said, when they see us at top tables, it's you feel the glares on you.
This is almost exactly. We did a podcast, myself, Michael Hinderocker, um, with Chantel Campbell about just women in magic. And
Mhm.
one of the things that Chantel said was, when you have a feature match at a GP, it feels like, because of the Twitch chat, because of, or at a PTQ, the people, the eyes on you, that you're playing for all women in magic. And what you just said is the exact same.
Yep.
When you're at a PTQ and you're at that top table, it feels like you're playing for black Magic players because the black Magic player is at this top table, and now your results impact everyone's perception of all black Magic players.
Feels like it does, honestly.
And on this podcast, I'm going to say the same thing that Michael and I said to Chantel, to both of you. I'm sorry, I never had to deal with that as a Magic player. And when you talk about having to do more, you've already there's already this pressure on you. There's already this pressure on you as a player that other players don't have to experience simply because of the color of your skin. And that makes competing harder. And I'm sorry.
Like I feel like I'm already at the top table, so the pressure's already on me. So on top of that, I feel like I can't mess up. I can't like I have to sideboard correctly. I have to do this. I have to do that. And it feels like the weight of the world.
Adrian, have you felt that before?
Yeah, I felt the external pressures, and everyone's watching. It's like, oh, there's a black guy in the top 8. There's a black guy at the top. It's like they don't say that, but it's like there's definitely like more eyes, as if it's surprising.
Right.
That's like the main thing. Where it's like, oh, it's like people don't say, oh, there's a black guy at the top table as well. Not out loud anyway, but they're like, oh wow, that's something different.
You know, it's funny because I think you're wrong. Not in the way that you think you are, but or the way that you might think from what I just said. But you know, I think that if there's 1 or 2 black guys in a Magic tournament, I'm gonna know what all 3 of the black guys are on before I know what all the white players are on at a PTQ. And that's another disadvantage for you. Acting like it's not a disadvantage just isn't true.
Yeah, that is true.
And
That's very true.
You know, that's just, I don't know, it's just another thing that you don't have to deal with as a white player. My next question for you guys is, you know, Wizards of the Coast is trying to address some of this. You know, we're talking about Magic right now. What do you want Wizards of the Coast to do moving forward? Obviously, they've taken some steps to ban some cards. They've obviously put out a job listing. Is there more they could be doing? Is what they're doing? How does, I don't know. You guys tell me. Like, how do you feel about all of this?
Ooh, so there's a video that really expels mixed thoughts, but I'm gonna say some of mine. But actually, I'm gonna share her video. So we're gonna put her video in the link. I have to go find it. Sorry.
Do you want us to watch this video right now?
You can just like put it in the
Put it in the show notes. I can do that.
Yeah, put in show notes because people should definitely watch this video. But basically, like top-down Wizards is like they should just actually make actions to put more diversity in the people who work there and make the cards, and not just force diversity as like, oh, we'll just hire a black person. It's like I guess it's kind of like, oh, yes, it feels like the force thing where it's like, well, they're not qualified, so we'll just like usher 1 or 2 in, you know.
Yeah,
just to make them happy.
I will also put a diversity podcast that I really enjoyed in the show notes as well. So if you're looking for a diversity podcast, there's one that I found really insightful that I'll put in the show notes as well.
But anyway, that's a start. Something they could do, which I don't know if they will do, but
I also feel like they can hire more black artists.
And just actually give more like black Magic players as far as like more of a spotlight, and not the performative thing they did a few weeks ago. That was just like, ooh, look at our really good black players that we haven't given a lot of attention to, but we will now,
right?
Kind of thing.
So, all right, this isn't in the questions. That offended me. I was offended by that. I know people are like, that's so stupid. They're trying to promote, the people in their community. It's like, but like, what is this even like? Cedric Phillips is the commentator in Magic, like, and you only hired him for one of your events. So like clearly just acting like he's on your team is just complete BS. Anyway,
I felt some type of way about that.
So talk to me about it. Like how did Wizards' response to that Tuesday make you feel?
Angry. Not valued.
It was
tilting.
Yeah.
Salty like Morton's.
That's tokenism, right? Like that is the
Yes.
It's the definition of tokenism.
100%.
It was 100% performative, and like they didn't grasp what the problem was, so they did a PR move to appease it, but it felt like a really half-assed PR move.
That's always been an MO, right?
That is the MO.
What can we do to get more Black people playing locally? What are the barriers of entry? I mean, you talked about social stuff. I don't think that the other players of other races can fix the social aspect. But so outside of that, like, what is the barrier to entry for Black people to get in that the players can fix, that the community can fix?
Hustle cards. Like, you have some like bulk comments on comments laying around, go ahead and donate. I've done that before.
That's a really good idea. I'm going to work with a sponsor to donate to the highest percentage of Black schools in Utah Magic cards, and you just made me think of that. I'm going to do it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I guess the local stores could actually work to actually make events for it's like Black players and other like minorities and stuff, or have like a specific thing, because or just like have a reach out to where like you said like the cards were having like theme decks and having like dual decks in their stuff, like just kind of like what local stores do, like bringing in like beginners and like younger people and things like that. Pretty sure you can do the same thing with like White people and other minorities as well, if like you actually want to.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. So we have some questions from the listener. The first is from Henry. Henry, wow, can't even talk. Henry says, if Wizards of the Coast does not fix issues that have been addressed, what can the community do better? And you both said that as far as stores and things like that, but what about Henry? Tomorrow Henry wants to be a better ally. What can Henry do to do that?
That was a very good question.
Henry, that's like,
if you see something wrong, point it out. Educate the person.
Yeah, you could treat other Black players like they're normal and not like they're not like they're like zoo exhibit.
Aliens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Treat us like human beings.
Yeah, treat them like normal. When people say like really like out of the way like offensive comments, you check them on it. And like maybe if you have a friend who like doesn't play, who's like Black, you could actually invite them, and don't just rule it out just because you don't think they would like it.
Yeah, just go up and ask. You never know. The worst thing they can say is no. At least you tried.
Kyle says, do you guys see the changes in the protests and the exposure into the issues? And do you find hope in some way?
I do find hope in some way, but I think the changes, I think there is exposure to the issue for sure. I think the changes, however, is going to take some time.
Adrian?
Yeah, I think there's more awareness on the issue, and there's some action taking place. But wholesale change is like will take some time. But as long as we keep sharing awareness and keep talking about it ad nauseum, and don't let this be just a flash in the pan, and we keep raising awareness and actually just make it like normal to like consume black content, like like black cosplayers, black artists, YouTubers. It's like normalize consuming black content would also help a lot because then you put your instead of seeing like all white stuff on your timeline and other things you have like actually white people on your timeline, then you consume it, and like your friend sees you consuming it, and then they ask, "What are you watching?" And then they consume it,
It's a chain reaction.
and then it becomes a normal part of the thing, and then it helps shine awareness, and maybe they'll see something and be like, "Oh, well, I never thought about it like this," and that is another part of this like raising awareness and solving the problem.
I want to thank you both for your time today. I know that you guys know this about me, but I really care about people. And I've cared about the two of you for years. And I am really grateful for both of you. And I hope you know that I will fight for you two, and for as long as I know you, and I really care. That being said, now that I can stop crying. Jaren, where can people find you, man? Like, where can people hit you up?
They can find me on Twitter at JarenWhite1. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Arena at J3490. However, if you happen to run into me, whatever happens, and I'm sorry.
Boom.
Taking names, baby. He's just going down there to crush you. Adrian, where can people find you, man?
You can find me on Twitter at AdrianDon'tCar. Probably put that in the show notes because it's not that easy to spell.
Yeah, I'll put them both in the show notes. People will be able to find them there.
If you want, you can you can just comment or add or push comment or something to get my Arena username. It's J Cole's neighbor, and I forgot the numbers, but if you want numbers, you can message me at me. I'll definitely get it to you. I'm probably not as good as Jarrett, and I won't just sling you to the curb. But I will make it difficult for you to sling me to the curb.
Bro, that guy's got coaching from top 8 competitor Matt Kling. You've only got coaching from this BS guy over here. So.
Also, for those who ever see me at locals or GPs or anything of that nature, whenever zones, if you see me, you walk up and say, "Hey."
Okay. I asked you both to pick a charity that we're gonna send people to. Did you guys do it?
Yeah.
Tell me about your charity, Jaren.
United Negro College Fund. Donate money to black kids who need education.
Okay. We're going to put that in the show notes. That is Jaren's charity of choice. Adrian, did you pick one?
Yeah, I got the Homeless Black Trans Women Fund supporting black trans women and stuff. And we'll have that in the show notes as well.
I just want to say I appreciate both of you. Is there anything you guys want to say before we go?
I just wanted to thank you for having us on and sharing our voices, which it means a lot. And
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hopefully people will listen and of course give feedback, conversation, awareness.
Be better human beings.
To all of us. All of us. So I appreciate you having the whole CCMTG thing, Spencer. You doing your thing. Without you, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So
if I wouldn't have met you in Detroit a couple of years ago, I wouldn't be doing this right now.
Okay. That is very sweet, Jaren. I just want to say, just on air, I love you too. I really do. I appreciate what you bring to Magic, and I hope that everybody listening can understand a different perspective and can understand how we can be #always improving for #Black Lives Matter. Because Black lives do matter, and there are people being oppressed today, and you might think that racism is over because of a movement that happened in your parents or my grandparents' lifetime, but things are happening and they're not good, and it is disproportionately affecting these people, and we need to fight for them, because that's what good people do. That's what always improving means. That's what it stands for.
Also, I want to really want to share this video I saw. I shared it on my Twitter, but I'm also sharing it here. It'll be in show notes.
Okay.
How to best explain it? It's like it's a YouTube video. It's a YouTube video. I'll share it in show notes, and basically it is showing the another Black perspective about the like racism in Magic, like in WotC, and just like another person's perspective, another Black perspective that you can listen and just like marinate and like take to heart. Really good discussion, so please watch. It'll be in the show notes, and also on my Twitter if you want it. I shared it there also. It's one of the first things on my page if you look. So please watch. Also, it is on her Twitter, which is Weeks Princess, WEEKES PRINCESS, and it's also one of the first links there as well. So please watch that video. Please share. Please listen.
That's what it's all about, man. It's about listening. I hope that I did that for you guys today. Much love, and you will not see me next week. This is the current last episode of Mythic Cast. If I ever come back, I will certainly come back to this. But this is it for me. I really appreciate everybody listening, and thank you to you two for being the best guests that I've ever had in Magic podcasting. Bye.